Hello and welcome to your brand new Bolton Wanderers podcast, Wanderers Way, in association with iHeat. I'm Derek Clark, and it brings me great joy to say that I'm joined by my Wanderers TV co-commentator and Bolton legend, Super John McGinley. John, what can people expect from the new podcast?
Well, going forward, Derek, we've got some good guests lined up, both former and current players. We've got some famous faces that are associated with this great club. And we've got some exciting guests coming up.
Cannot wait for that, and there's no one better to kick us off than Bolton Wanderers head coach Stephen Schumacher. Wanderers Way, the official podcast of Bolton Wanderers Football Club in association with iHeat. Coming up,
you'll forget having no money, you'll forget not getting paid, but you'll never forget a promotion. So let's sort of stick together as a group and get through it and try and achieve something that no one will give you a hope of doing. I went and coached Everton's under-11s and it was brilliant. Best thing I ever did. Honestly, it was looking after 22, 11, 10 and 11-year-olds and trying to keep all the tempers in check and deal with parents on a Sunday afternoon who've been on the ale. Why isn't my son started in the A-team? It was brilliant. It was just like the best practice ever for men's football, because I have the same conversations now with grown men.
Was that an easy conversation with Ryan?
No, it wasn't. No, it was the one and only day that we've ever had a falling out.
Wanderers Way, the official podcast of Bolton Wanderers Football Club in association with iHeat. How's it going, Stephen?
All good, thank you.
Yep, great to have you on. We've got some branded glasses here, which is at no expense spares. Some pretzels and some, I don't know, those flapjacks in the centre as well. So.
You should know, Derek, you've had a good few of them.
So yeah, make yourself comfortable. Great to have you on, Stephen. How's it going?
It's been great. Yeah, it's just over 3.5 weeks that we've been here now and really enjoyed it. Every day has been exciting. It's been good getting to know the players, getting to know all the staff. And yet there's some really brilliant people at this club, and all of us, all the new staff that have come in and joined are really enjoying it and looking forward to the journey.
Yeah, magic. We'll talk a wee bit about Wrexham coming up as well, but the results so far, you must be pleased with the reaction of the players towards yourself coming in.
Yeah, it's been good. As I said, they've responded really well. The players have been good from the first day, really. Like, sometimes, as I say, with Ian being here a long time, and Ian done a brilliant job, sometimes just a different voice and a different perspective on things can be what a group needs, and I probably feel as that was kind of where this club was at. So I felt from day one, everything's been positive and everything's been, I say, a good response from the players. All the messages that me and the coaching team have tried to give them has been really well received, and I say they've still got loads to go. We've barely touched the surface of what we want to try and bring, but obviously you've got to not throw everything too much at them too soon. But so far it's been great, and the results have been okay as well.
Yeah, how's preparation going for Wrexham before we start looking back at your career in the game?
Yeah, preparation's okay. It started obviously straight after the game on Saturday, and that's kind of how it is. I watched the game back on Sunday, and then had the analysis lads and the data lads send us over the information Sunday evening on Wrexham, and we're getting straight into them. Now, we played them not too long ago, so that's been a bit of a help. We've done a lot of prep for that game, for the trophy game. So yeah, we've started it. We've had a good training day today with the players, and we hopefully get the game plan right for Saturday and go and put a performance on there and really believe that we can go and get a result.
You've got to be delighted, I would say, Stephen, with the response you've had from the players. They've showed some spirit since you've come in, they really have.
Yeah, they have, and they've showed some quality as well. I think obviously the Reading game that we lost, that was a game that in the league, the only league game that we've lost. Like, we didn't deserve to lose that game, and if we take one of our chances that we created before they scored, then we're saying it's been an unbelievable start, isn't it? It would have been 4 wins, but yeah, they've been brilliant, and the spirit, as you're saying, to go behind in the 3 games that we've come back and win the way they have, shown that they've got some good character. I've said that to the lads after every game that they've come back from and won. Like, they've really stood up under what can be difficult circumstances, especially here in front of such a big crowd. They haven't buckled, and they just kept going and showed some belief, and most impressively for me, shown some energy. They can move, they can run, and all all the information that we've had off the fitness lads about the running stats and whatever have been off the charts. So really pleased with that. Good character, good energy, and some good quality, which is a good sign, obviously.
You touched on the fans there as well. I think they've responded, haven't they? They've been magnificent since you've come in.
They've been brilliant, yeah. They've been class, and kind of what I expected, if I'm honest. To say I knew how big this club is, how big the fan base is, how passionate they are. I've seen it firsthand, what it can get to, and we always feel as though the team, the way we asked our teams to play, playing on the front foot, trying to play with energy, trying to be positive, giving 100% no matter what. Then as a football fan, that's what I would like to have seen from my team watching. So yeah, hopefully they respond, and when you get a few results off the back of that, especially exciting ones the way we've won, then it all helps and adds to that excitement, and as I say, there's a real good buzz around the club and around the town at the moment, so we need to keep that going as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Look back at the career then, Stephen, growing up as a young lad, who were the role models for you?
Well, I was born kind of when Everton was still good.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm a big Everton fan, and my heroes growing up, obviously Everton in the mid-80s, 84, 85, 86, I was only just born, so but I still try and show my son the videos of them 40 years later, so that's how bad Everton have been. But that was the team that I supported, obviously. So players like Peter Reid, Kevin Sheedy, Paul Bracewell, you know, the real good Everton team of the late 80s, and then into the 90s would have been Duncan Ferguson, who I had the opportunity to play with at Everton. He was my kind of idol when I was 11 and 12, so yeah, all the Everton players really. But then, just growing up trying to be a footballer, I had to look probably to other clubs for some real inspiration, because at that time we weren't very good.
What was Big Dunk like?
Sound, yeah, good. Really good guy, like scary in training. Like you're obviously a young lad, 17, 18, trying to train with him and make sure you didn't give him a bad pass. At times could be quite intimidating, but as I've got older and got to know him, and obviously went back to Everton, coached his son Cameron actually, and then he was working as an academy coach when I went back in to be a coach at Everton, and then we came up against each other on the touchline when he was manager at Forest Green. So still somebody who I see knocking around, and I say was a hero of mine. Yeah.
Whose boots did you clean back then?
Do you know what? Everton back then, we wasn't allowed to clean boots. Like that's sort of gone out of the sort of modern day era where apprentices clean boots. We weren't allowed to clean them. We had Jimmy Martin, who was a legendary kitman at Everton, and Tony Sage used to clean all the boots, and the young apprentices weren't allowed. We had to clean dressing rooms and whatever, but we wasn't allowed to touch the first team boots because they probably thought we were going to nick them.
Do you think that's missing these days? I mean, with young players, you know, I think it grounds them, doesn't it? It gives them probably a taste of what the real life's like as well.
Yeah, a little bit. When I left Everton and went to Bradford, and we had boot boys at Bradford and we had boot boys at Crewe, and even at Bury, we had the boot lads. I had a boot lad actually who was a Bolton Wanderers fan, text me when I got here. I hadn't heard from him for about 15 years. He text me saying, I'm buzzing that you're the new gaffer. So I'd say there's a relationship with a young lad that I've not spoken to for that many years that I wouldn't ever have had if you didn't have someone who cleaned your boots. But that was kind of part of our generation, and I think that's sort of fizzling out a bit now. I don't think it's allowed through health and safety and safeguarding and issues and all that, which is a bit of a shame. But as I said, I'm sure there's been some real good instances about all that sort of era, but there's probably a few bad ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
See, when you're coming through at the youth at Goodison, Stephen, who was it Walter and Archie that was there at the time? Was David Moyes there? Do you have any dealings with those guys coming through?
So I signed my pro contract when Walter Smith was the manager and Archie Knox was assistant. I was probably 14, 15, playing for England at the time. Early 16, breaking in and around the youth teams and the reserve teams back then. And I think Walter Smith and Archie Knox really rated us. There was 2 or 3 young lads that were in the England kind of setup, and we went and trained with the first team every now and again. Now, when we got a little bit older, probably 17, into the youth team, Walter left and Archie left, and David Moyes took over while we were in the FA Youth Cup run.
Yeah.
And halfway through the season, when David Moyes came in, Everton were in a real relegation battle. And we had Wayne Rooney in our youth team.
Yeah.
So he was the benchmark, unfortunately, for the rest of us. He was...
Wasn't he bad, was he?
Oh, he was unbelievable. But he was obviously a lot better than everybody else in the team. And he then went into the first team and got put into Moyes' team, which is understandable. And we just didn't quite have enough, the rest of us, trying to hang on to his coattails. So there wasn't many others that made first team appearances from my group, unfortunately, and we had to leave. Obviously, I think I left when I was 19. I had to leave to go and find a career somewhere else.
Was that gut-wrenching for you? Because obviously coming up with a toffee and all that, you'd have dreamed of playing at Goodison, I'd imagine, and playing for that first team.
Yeah, that was my dream, yeah. Gutted that I didn't manage to do it, to play professionally there. Gutted that I didn't ever go back in a cup game either to play again at Goodison. And obviously it's not going to be there for too much longer. There's only 6 more games left. So yeah, that was a real regret. And yeah, to play in Everton's first team was a dream, but didn't manage to do it. I said to my dad, obviously we're big Everton fans, I said to my dad when I left, don't worry about it. And he was more gutted than I was. I'll make a career somewhere else and I'll come back. And if I don't come back as a player, I'll come back as the manager one day. So yeah, hopefully that's still the aim, that's still the goal.
Yeah.
As a fan, are you delighted to see David Moyes back?
I am actually, yeah. I think Everton had, when he first came in, was going through a tough period, changed the club, changed the mentality, got us believing that we could compete again. Had some real good success early on. Obviously, got into the Champions League, should have been into the Champions League, only for a bad refereeing decision from Kalina in the qualifier, and had some good years at Everton, got us to a cup final, didn't manage to win it. But then, like everything, probably towards the end of it, become more difficult. He was there 11 years, which is a long time, and left to go to a bigger club in United, which I wouldn't obviously begrudge. A lot of Everton fans did, but that's just, I think, fans being natural football fans. And then coming back to Everton the way he has, again, it's exactly what we probably needed at the time, because it felt as though it got a bit negative under Sean Dyche, if I'm honest, a bit negative. And Moyes come in and just, it seems as though the players are enjoying doing what they're doing and are running around and are being more positive, and the fans have got behind it. And to go from 1 point outside the relegation zone to, I heard the other day before the last home game, they were closer to the top 5 than what they were the relegation zone. So that's amazing in such a short space of time. So fair play to him, he's done a brilliant job.
It's the next teammate of yours, John, isn't
Yes, he is. Yeah, we're at Shrewsbury together, the big
Yeah.
fella. Like, good centre-half as well.
Yeah.
Goal-scoring centre-half. Scored a lot of his goals off set pieces.
Yeah, so top manager, top coach as well. Somebody, obviously, who, as a real young player, you're watching, he had his hands on everything. He's still like that now, I've heard. He wants to do everything on the training ground. And his energy and his passion for it, that's kind of something that I've probably learned from. That's how I want to be as a coach. I'm not one of these people who stand to the side and let everybody else get on with it. I like to be really hands-on, so that's probably a little bit from him as well. But he's done brilliant, yeah.
I think it's important for players to see that as well, because you're the leader, aren't you? You're the focal point, really, of the team and the club. So to see you being so hands-on, I think that's a big plus for the players.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But I think as well, John, like, again, especially now in the modern, like years ago when I was playing, we've probably only ever been a manager and an assistant manager. That was probably it. Yeah. Now there's more staff, there's more coaches, there's more fitness coaches, there's sports science departments, there's set piece coaches, there's coach analysts. So there's more people, and it's important that people who you work with feel as though they're involved and they're responsible, and that they have say roles and responsibilities on the day-to-day in the training, because it is too hard for just the manager or the head coach to do it all on his own. You need a really good staff around you, people that you can trust, that are also obviously capable and the players respect. So I feel as though I've got the balance right with the coaching staff right now. I've got Richie Kyle, who's really experienced from a coaching perspective. I've got Mark Hughes, who's unbelievably experienced from a playing background. He's only obviously a young coach. And we're still looking to add to that department as well. So it's going all right at the moment, yeah.
See, when you're playing, Stephen, did you always have aspirations to be a coach and a manager when you were during your playing days, or was that something that sort of came later on in your career?
Yeah, I probably knew, probably from like 25, that was kind of the route I was going to go down.
Yep.
But it was probably earlier than that I was probably thinking like a coach. A coach of mine for England, Dick Bate, who is like famous coach educator in the FA. I remember him saying to me when I was like 15, 16, I was England captain for him. He was our manager for our age group. And I remember him saying, like, you're going to be a good coach one day, because I think he recognised I thought like a coach, even when I was such a young player. So I was always asking questions about what other nations did and why they did it. Like, why did the Dutch play the way the Dutch play? Why the Italians recognised for being really good defensively? Like, I was always asking them types of questions, which is probably a bit weird at 16. That's what I was like. So, yeah, I knew I had a sort of a brain for it. And then when I got to about 25 and I realised I probably was never going to play in the Premier League and I would need a job when I retire, then this is what I'm passionate about. So I got started taking my coaching badges, and by the end of my playing career at 33, I was pretty much done with my A licence, and then moved on to my pro licence not long after that. So for a young coach to be with that kind of them qualifications and background is obviously beneficial.
Yeah. You mentioned there England. That must have been proud for you, representing your country, skipping your country as well at a young age.
It was, yeah. It was brilliant. We beat Scotland, by the way. Every time we played them. And
we won that, John.
Yeah, we won the Victory Shield. Played against Darren Fletcher. That was a real special night at Queen of the South. That was that ground.
Palmerston
Park. Yeah, we won the Victory Shield that night. I scored the winning pen. Great. Couldn't get much better. But no, it was brilliant. Representing your country is obviously sorry, John. It's obviously your.
Let's move on, Derek.
Representing your country at any level is obviously what you want to do, and to get up to England under 20s, that was the last sort of performance that I had for them in the European Championships. That was while I was still at Everton. It was really special. Played about 40 odd games, I think, for England. So really good. And if for any young kid trying to do that, I would encourage to go and do it, because it's you play with some good players and have some good experiences. So it was brilliant.
Who were the boys you were playing with back then in that team?
We had a really good group. We had players like Glenn Johnson, who went on good career. Liam Ridgewell played. Peter Whittingham, God rest him, he was in my year group. Stuart Downing, Darren Bent, David Bentley. Justin Hoyt played for Arsenal. He was a good player. Who else? Yeah, we had loads. Yeah. Wayne came in to our age group not too long after that. So some lads who went on and had big careers played in our year group. It was strong. We did well in the tournaments. We got to semi-finals and quarter-finals of European and World Championships, I think so. But we just didn't manage to win one.
Can we dive in there, John? You had a question to ask?
Not England.
So you left Everton and you had a good career, of course, at a number of clubs. You were at Bradford. I think you both played for Colin Todd, didn't you?
Toddy, yeah.
Yeah.
He was my first, obviously, senior manager, made my senior debut, if you like. I went on loan to Carlisle, but Toddy was my manager at Bradford City, brilliant. Him and Bobby Davidson, he was the assistant, Bob, and it was great. He was really good, give us as a young player, 20 years old, just the freedom to go and express yourself, and just asked me when I went to Bradford just to play with energy and play box to box as a kind of an old school box to box midfield player, and loved it. I had 3 years under him, and he left sort of halfway through the last year, but he was top draw yet, and again somebody who I've kept in touch with and texts me every now and again, and obviously real good Bolton manager as well. So
good manager to play for, Stephen, and wanted to play the game the right way as well.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? And like you said, within the parameters of the right game, he also gave you the freedom to play. He was different class.
Yeah,
he really was.
Yeah, he was brilliant and such a nice guy as well. Like, had time for you, was obviously demanding as any manager should be, and wanted one of their young players what was required, but never ever felt as though he was on your back or being unfair. Sometimes as a young player, there'd be some certain types of managers who would lay into you because you're the young lad, but he definitely wasn't like that. He was brilliant with me, and I love playing for him. Yeah.
Valley Parade, you both played there, of course. What was that like? Can you get
good.
bouncing when it's packed, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was a club that was just come out of the Championship, so they were having financial trouble. That's probably why me and a lad from Everton that we left with, Michael Symes, we went to Bradford City because they needed players, and they got some young players who obviously weren't going to cost a lot. So we went there, and yeah, it was still a big club. You could see even then, even though it was going through financial troubles, they were still probably getting 14, 15,000 in League One, and that's gone even more now. They obviously have a real good season ticket fan base and whatever that at Valley Parade, and it's always a ground that when you go back as a visiting player, you want to go and play in, because it's it's been in League One and League Two now for a long time, and it's one of the better grounds. So, so yeah, I had some good times at Bradford and kick-started my career. Really, I think I played like 130 games or something in 3 years. So as a young player, still like 21, 22 and leaving, to have that amount of games under your belt was good for me, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that must have sort of kick-started your career a wee bit, because you're just probably itching to get going, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that's it. And as I say, in hindsight, like my dad wanted me to stay at Everton, and was disappointed that David Moyes let us go. And I was saying, well, in the long run, this will be better anyway, because I wouldn't have played the amount of games that I did do in my career if I'd have stayed in Everton's reserves for another 12 months or another 2 years or whatever. So getting out and playing men's football, for me, at the level that I was probably only ever going to play at, was probably the best thing anyway. So that gave us a springboard to do that, and then that led on to where we went next. So it was good, and it was a good club to start at with a good manager.
Yeah, top class. Talk us through your time at Bury, because obviously much loved there. You had great success there as well. What was that like playing at Giggling? Yeah,
but Bury was good. I'd had 3 years after Bradford at Crewe, which didn't really go the way I wanted to. I had a few injuries at Crewe. I had a knee injury and an ankle injury that I think I played like 85, 90 games maybe for Crewe. Didn't really enjoy the culture there. Yeah. It was completely different to what I'd grown up with, being at Everton and working under Colin Harvey, who my youth team coach was all about not giving the ball away, not taking risks in front of your own goal, and being reliable, to going to Bradford City and doing similar. And then going to Crewe, where they were all about developing young players, and I've had a brilliant record over the years doing that with Dario and Steve Holland. Steve Holland was a brilliant coach again, who's obviously gone on to unbelievable. Have an unbelievable career. He was my manager. I think I was one of his first signings, and it was just a different culture. Like, they wanted different things from midfield players, about like receiving it in front of your back four and trying to twist and turn away from pressure, which is great when it comes off, but probably wasn't my game. So it didn't really suit me. I was more into keeping it simple and winning tackles, and that's kind of not what they were looking for at that time. So I had 3 years there that didn't really go to plan, and then going to Bury was kind of what I needed really at the time. Alan Nill was the manager, who's Chris Wilder's assistant now. He took me to Bury, and I'm sort of got back to what we're doing at Bradford, running forward and playing forward and trying to score goals. So we had 3 good seasons at Bury. I scored a load of goals there and got a promotion, and then in the 3rd season, unfortunately, started to have some money troubles, and we lost a few players and got relegated from League One, which was a big disappointment. But yeah, good times in general, and obviously a club that I went back to as a coach as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the promotion season, I think, was it 2018-19? You went up, and that was just before the club sort of went bust after that. That was such a huge achievement that year. You and Louis, obviously, doing well, getting the club up. That must have been difficult with that going on in the background, sort of murmuring away, and then to get promotion that year to League One. That must be feather in the cap, really. But obviously, gotten to see it go the way it did.
Yeah,
not long after it.
Yeah, it was a mad probably 12 months really. When Ryan got the caretaker manager's job at Bury, we'd always spoke playing together when we were there together at Bury, that I said, one day you be the manager here, Ryan, and I'll be your coach. So that was, I say, going back, I was probably 25, 26 at the time, and thinking about that. And then when Ryan did get the caretaker manager's job there, I'd just retired. I'd just sort of finished playing professionally. I was at Stevenage, and then needed to come back to the Northwest. So I hung my boots up full time and went back to Everton coaching. So I had a full-time job at Everton and played part-time for Southport just to take me money up, really. And Ryan got the caretaker manager's job just after Christmas at Bury and said, look, we're probably going to go down. We were in League One at the time. So we're probably going to go down, but the chairman said that if we do well and we get playing well and we give it a good go, then we'll get the job next year. So I was like, okay. So then when I left Everton, I had to leave it, my full-time job at Everton, which was really secure, and call it a day at Southport. And when I went back to Bury, we were training at Carrington at the time.
Yeah.
And when I walked in, the first impression that I got was, this is just unbelievable training facility for Bury. And it just felt like, it just didn't feel right. It was the training facility was City's old training ground, and I was thinking to myself, this must be costing an absolute fortune to have this, but they did, and in that first sort of from January till the end of the season, we had some players there as well that didn't look like they were Bury players. There were people there that were on too much money.
Yeah.
Didn't look like what I remembered playing at Bury and what Bury was all about. So that was the first thing that we spoke about when we got offered the job in the summer. We need to get it back to the type of team and the type of players that me and Ryan played in and played with. So we cleared out the majority of the lads who were on big money and tried to strip it back and go with just good, honest lads. We bought Nicky Adams and people like Nicky Maynard, who we'd all work with. Danny Mayer was at the club, but we got him going, and we played really well for 6 months, and we got ourselves to January in the promotion hunt in League Two. And Stuart Day obviously left the club. It was in all sorts of financial problems, and this was all going on in the background that Lowy probably had to deal with more than I did on a day-to-day basis. But Stuart Day left, and another guy called Steve Dale came in, who the minute he walked through the door, you just knew he was bad news. So it didn't feel right. And then from January onwards, we kind of stopped getting paid. The players stopped getting paid, all the staff stopped getting paid, the bills weren't getting paid, and you could just see that the club was going to struggle. So the football though still had to go on, and for us to keep that club going and keep the players believing, like saying, look, we're in a brilliant position here in the league, and you'll forget having no money, you'll forget not getting paid, but you'll never forget a promotion. So let's sort of stick together as a group and get through it and try and achieve something that no one will give you a hope of doing. So we did. We managed to keep going, and we finished second in the league and got promoted in a very similar time to when Bolton went through some difficulties as well. That wasn't too dissimilar. So unfortunately, then once we got promoted, we left to go to Plymouth Argyle, and because again we knew that the writing was on the wall. Everybody at the EFL had told us that Bury were going to go out of business, which was a massive shame. And they did, and we went to Plymouth, and unfortunately Bury went right after that.
Considering all the good work you did there, must be heartbreaking to see them in the position they're in now. It's good to see them starting to come back again, but obviously paying the price. Just it was sad to see nobody stepped up and nobody saved them. Yeah,
it was heartbreaking. We had a lad who went with us down to Argyle, Jimmy Dickinson, who worked there as an analyst, and he's now head of recruitment at Argyle, and he's a massive Bury fan. And for someone like him, who that's his club, that's like Everton for me, or whoever you guys support, that's like your club going out of business. He was heartbroken. He was in tears about it, and we all were, because I'd spent 3 years as a playing career there and 18 months of my life as a coach, and to see good people lose their jobs the way they did because it was poorly managed and poorly run, and as you say, didn't have other good people come in and save it like we did here. Fortunately, obviously, Sharon and the group who came in here and did what they did when Bolton were in a similar situation. I only wish that Bury would have had the same, but unfortunately they they've had to go out of the leagues and reform and go through all of that turmoil of Bury AFC and now Bury, and now it looks like they're on the way back and trying to make their way through the leagues again. So hopefully they can do it.
Yeah. Just rewinding back to when you hung the boots up, Stephen, was that something that you were sort of ready for when you finally did it, or was it come a bit of a wee shock for you? Just because obviously you were moving on into coaching after that anyway. Were you sort of comfortable with that sort of progression from playing to coaching?
No, I probably wasn't ready to do it. I got offered another year at Stevenage, so me and my wife lived down in Hertfordshire, and my wife's mother got ill. She got terminal cancer, so we said we're going to need to come back to the northwest really, if we can, try and get home, because it was too much for her to be away from everyone. So we wanted to come back to the northwest. So I turned down another year at Stevenage. So I was 33 and still had another year left in me probably, and I got offered a couple of trials at a few clubs up in the northwest, and what we were talking about, there wasn't anything really that was standing out where I was going, oh, I definitely want to go and take that. And then I started thinking then I think I went and trained in with I went to Crewe for a day. I might even went to Bury as well and trained at Bury for a couple of days, and I just felt there'd be better options out there for me. So I rang somebody at Everton from the academy and said, is there any coaching jobs going, because I'm thinking of getting a coaching job full time, starting that off, and then I'll maybe try and play part time with Southport. And at the time, Southport was still paying decent enough money that wasn't too dissimilar to what I was getting offered kind of in League 2 level. So I thought, well, let's just do this now. What am I waiting for another year for? I might as well get back on my coaching journey and start on that ladder. So I did. I went and coached Everton's under 11s, and it was brilliant. Best thing I ever did. Honestly, it was looking after 10 and 11 year olds and trying to keep all the tempers in check and deal with parents on a Sunday afternoon who've been on the ale. Why isn't my son started in the A team? It was brilliant. It was just like the best practice ever for men's football, because I have the same conversations now with grown men. So it's it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It gave me 6 months ground, and I was only there for a short period of time before I got back into first team football. So, but it was a really good 6 months, and I enjoyed it.
Magic. That relationship with Ryan Lowe, was that something when you were playing sort of together that just clicked from the off?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we obviously we're good mates, and we travelled into Crewe together and then into Bury together, and I said I always had it in the back of our minds. Like, Ryan is the way he was. I always knew he was going to be a manager. He's it was like that. I was captain at Bury, and he was probably vice captain, and he was always the loud one. He was always the one who would be, getting after people in the dressing room, and I was a bit more the thinker, even as a captain. So when he's a bit older than me as well, a lot older than me, I'll tell him. I sort of had it in the back of my mind that he would get an opportunity to go to Bury at some point. He was doing a little bit of player managing and player coaching when I left Bury, and he went back to Bury after being at Tranmere and whatever. And I always knew that he would get a sniff at some point. So when he did get the opportunity to be caretaker manager, and he asked me then straight away, who was coaching full time, to go and be his first team coach, I jumped at the chance, because I spoke to my wife and said, look, this is a big risk. We want to get in a contract till the end of the season, and I'm leaving a full-time job that might not be there if we mess this up. But fortunately we didn't mess it up, and we managed to start the coaching journey together, and we did well at Bury, got a promotion, went to Plymouth and got a promotion down there as well. So it was a good partnership.
Jumping forward to Plymouth, obviously when you got promotion there, Ryan left. Did you think about leaving and going with him, or was it always the chance that you were going to hopefully get the opportunity to take over at Plymouth?
Yeah, no, so in the first year we got promoted. It was the COVID year, so we finished on points per game or whatever. I think we finished second or third. We went up with Swindon and Crewe, and then we had a year obviously playing behind closed doors, which wasn't brilliant down at Argyle, and we didn't do great. We finished like 17th or whatever, 18th in League One, which was okay. We stabilised, and did what we needed to do in League One. And then we started the next season really well. We were like up in the top 6. Got to around Christmas time, and Ryan, well, just before Christmas, like mid-December, and Ryan got a phone call off Preston, kind of out of the blue, saying there's a job opportunity here, and would you like to take it? So he got on the phone to me pretty much the next day and said, I've been to speak to Preston and we're going. So I was like, okay, great, what does it look like for me? And you know, what's the role look like? Am I going as assistant manager and whatever? And I was prepared to do that. So my wife and the kids moved down to Plymouth when we first went down there in 2019. We bought a house down there that we were still in the middle of renovating. The kids were settled in primary school down there, whereas Ryan's family still lived in the northwest. So when I was like, okay, fine, just tell me what the situation is, obviously after he spoke to Preston. And then that was obviously in the morning, I think it was like a Monday or a Tuesday morning at 9-10 o'clock. And then by lunchtime I'd had a phone call from the CEO at Argyle saying, look, we understand Ryan's going to leave, but we don't want you to go. We've had it in our minds that you would always be his successor, and although it's come probably 12 months sooner than what we expected, we think you're ready and you'll have our full backing from Simon Hallett, the owner, and we believe in you. So I then had a decision to make. I spoke to my missus and spoke to my dad and a few close mates and that, and said, what do you reckon? And they said, do you think you're ready for it? And I said, well, I don't know. But the answer was the same as, do you think I was ready to go into first team football when I left Everton's academy? The answer was, I don't know, but I'll give it a go. And that's what I decided to do. So I thought, well, let's give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? If it goes wrong, I'll do something else. And yeah, just backed the way I work and backed the way I like to do things. And yeah, obviously it turned out again in the long run to be a good decision.
Yeah. Was it an easy conversation with Ryan?
No, it wasn't. No, it was the one and only day that we've ever had a falling out. So we fell out. He said a few things on the phone, and I said a few things on the phone, and yeah, it wasn't a good night's sleep. But the next day, we both have the same agent. So the next day, he picked the phone up, and my agent said to me, "Look, Ryan's going to give you the call. He's got on his way into Preston, and he's going to give you the call later." I was like, okay. So I felt a little bit easier. But I think Ryan knew once he calmed down and he had his coaching staff sorted, like, that was a brilliant opportunity for Ryan to go to Preston and go and work in the Championship, which is what he deserved. He earned that right to go there to Preston. And I said to him, I might not ever get asked to be a manager again. So, and for me, this is going to be life-changing for my family. So I want to give it a chance. And if I'm not ready, then I'll know. But if I am ready, then hopefully it works out for the best. And as I say, I think that was a good decision. But we're still best mates again now.
So that was part one of our Stephen Schumacher special here on Wanderers Way. Very interesting to hear about Stephen's playing career, John, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was a very extensive playing career, Derek, which touched on international playing as well. And certainly, and then it led into his early coaching career. So, yeah, very good listen.
Yep. Part two will be coming your way next week, where we hear about Stephen's time in management, of course, and what we all want to hear about him taking the Bolton job and how he's getting on here at Wanderers as well. So be sure to join us for that. Next week.
So I was telling the players all week to relax and play and spread out and pass the ball, and forgot that it was a final. And in the first minute, I'm telling the full-back to throw the ball back to our centre-back. And he did, and he lost the ball, and they went down the other end and got a corner and scored from the corner, and we 1-0 down at Wembley, and I just didn't realise how important that was going to be after 2 minutes, because we've now got 40,000 Bolton fans supporting. We've got 40,000 Argyle fans all nervous, and within 10 minutes it could have been about 3-0. I've done a bit of line dancing in Nashville in the summer, so
wow.
Yeah, I wasn't very good. Stick to the skiing. I was better at skiing than I was line dancing, but I mean, I've been to a bit of country music at the moment, yeah. A bit of Zach Bryan and Chris Stapleton and Luke Combs and all them guys, yeah. I like my bands as well, so I love Glastonbury. I like going to that. But when this job came and my agent rang me and said to me, look, Bolton want to speak to you, I was like, right, okay, I definitely want this job. So I hadn't said that to him before. I said I want it. I need to make sure that I prepare properly for it, get the presentation right, make sure I've done my research on everything about the club and knew what it was all about. And yeah, I went for it. And then from the first kind of interview that I did, I knew this. I said straight away. My missus listens on the stairs. Got off the, got out of the office and said to her, "Look, this sounds perfect." She said, "Yeah, it feels right." So
there you go, folks. Yeah, and we're going to get Stephen to sign some photographs of him. We're going to give them away, so make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Wanderers Way, of course. We'll bring you a show hopefully every week with ex-players and present players and famous faces from in and around the club. But thank you very much for watching. Bye for now. Wanderers Way, the official podcast of Bolton Wanderers Football Club in association with iHeat.